Yaffee program on WVNN.
So on the 250th anniversary of this country, the Declaration of Independence, I saw, by the way, that AL.com, the artist, the cartoonist J.D. Crow, his cartoon today it has Uncle Sam. He's all beat up. It says a birthday cake 250th, and then it's got a stick of dynamite on it. And it says, poor old Uncle Sam. 250 years old, bruised, beaten, and worried sick. Clothes hanging in tatters, looking like he just stumbled out of the world's worst family reunion. He's aged a lot just this last decade on our watch. Half the country is convinced the other half is destroying America. Politicians spend more time throwing gasoline on the fire than dousing it with water. So he basically says that we're in trouble because of our political divisions. Now, I will agree. It says the fuse is burning because too many people seem to think democracy is a demolition derby and the winner will be the last car with a bumper. Now, I agree we're pretty divided. I've talked about the cold Civil War and everything else. But I also think some of this is a little extreme. You know what I think America's biggest problem is, to be honest, other than maybe the lack of God and our humility towards God in our society? But I think the biggest problem, honestly, is we're spoiled. The more and more I think about it all the time, with the news and everything else, I think a lot of people in this country are just spoiled. I'm going to explain that further. I'll go over a poll that came out that shows that it's the lowest amount in a long time that Americans are extremely proud to be an American. It's at the lowest number in a while, according to Gallup. So we'll talk about this and get your reaction as well. You are listening to the Yaffee program. We talk faith, culture, and politics Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. right here on Newstalk 770 AM 92.5 FM WVNN. You can weigh in on, yes, the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. One person texted this in, by the way, said, if we don't have soccer, we won't have soccer moms. Football moms just doesn't sound right. Sounds wrong. So if you're wondering why he's texting that, Dale Jackson has a directive for all his hosts because he's very into this now in the World Cup and everything, which USA won, which is awesome. A lot of people are into it. But he said we should have to call it football and not soccer. And if you catch me or any of the hosts saying soccer instead of football, you let us know on the text line and you could win a WVNN t-shirt. So if I say soccer, one more time, soccer, you just text in and you can get that t-shirt. And just let Dale know on the text line. If you want it. Soccer, there's a Yaffee shirt, there's the Old Man Dale shirt, and there's just a WVNN, nice polo shirts, actually. So you can get that if you want. Let people know on the text line. Okay. Before I get into this poll, I do want to play real quick a cut here from Congressman Robert Aderholtz. He is out of Haleyville, Alabama. He was asked about the idea of patriotism, especially on the 250th anniversary. Go on and play the Robert Aderholtz cut for me.
This should be a time when all Americans, Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever party you're associated with, should be very excited about where we have come over the last 250 years. We have, we're not a perfect nation, but we are, a light on a hill. We're a beacon of hope for the rest of the world. There's no place on earth that's going to be perfect. But I will tell you, I'd rather be in the United States as any other country I know of, to be a citizen of this country. And quite honestly, I think shows you by what we're seeing at our borders that most people around the world would like to be here in the United States of America. I think sometimes we can focus on the negative and we not focus on the positives of this country, but we have so much to be thankful for.
So I think he's right. It's kind of interesting when you look at what we're doing with securing the border, trying to control illegal immigration, deporting illegals. You have those, mostly on the left, who will say that shows how bad of a country we are. Look at what we become. We are so terrible. But Adderholt there makes a good point. In a way, it actually shows how great we are because we have millions of illegal immigrants who are desperately trying to get into this country. Why do you think that is? Because they know that it's pretty good here, that we have it great here. Now, the obvious example, I'm not the only one giving this, and not the first time I said it, but yes, those here for the World Cup, just seeing how great it is, all those videos going viral. But of course, we have this. This is according to Gallup. It says, as the United States marks its 250th anniversary, 33% of U.S. adults say they are extremely proud to be an American. Now, that's the lowest reading in Gallup's trend dating back to 2001. Now, another 20% say they are very proud, which means just over half of Americans express high levels of pride in their country. Now, it seems like we're always split down the middle, divided half and half, the cold Civil War. But I mean, it's concerning because that the number of people not proud or only a little proud or moderately proud, that number has grown. And that's concerning. The good news is it seems the majority are still at least somewhat proud, but it's not as big as it was just a few years ago. And I'd love to get your reaction on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, and just ask why. Why is that? Why? I have a couple answers, but I'm curious your take. It says the remaining shares say they are moderately proud, 22%, only a little proud, 15%, and not at all proud, 9%. Now, when Gallup first asked this question in 2001, 55% of U.S. adults were extremely proud. Now, the pride actually surged after 9/11, of course, with 65 to 70% of Americans expressing extreme pride. Now, this also comes to the issue of the American flag. According to the Associated Press, Americans' view of Old Glory are divided by politics, age, and race. Now, this is ahead of the 250th birthday celebration. It says Republicans and older white adults are especially likely to say to fly the American flag, while younger Democrats and black adults are more likely to say they don't fly it. Views of the flag and whether it's unifying or a divisive symbol track with other deep divisions among Americans who see their country history and accomplishments very differently. And it says a lot of black Americans see the flag as a symbol of both inclusion and exclusion. Black Americans, more so than whites, also understand the flag can be used to justify a version of patriotism that is rooted in exclusion, with the flag being used to say you don't belong here. Of course, I don't think in today's world people would say, I don't know why you would view it that way in today's world. But how do you get to this point? A couple of reasons. One, we're still figuring out how to live in a world with social media. Social media, the internet, has been the biggest revolution in information since the printing press. Now, you might just read a little bit of history and see how much division, violence, how many wars existed after the printing press. So you can imagine social media, the internet's going to cause that as well as we try to figure it out as a species, honestly. The other issue, I think, frankly, is we're just not taught patriotism. We're not taught real American history. We don't have real perspective. You look at what goes on in a lot of colleges and universities. You see these protests against Israel, and you're like, how in the world did they get to this conclusion to support Hamas? Doesn't make any sense. They're taught. Well, on social media and in other places, people are taught. They're just taught not to like the country. They are taught to focus on the bad. They're taught to focus, well, we had slaves. They're not taught that so did the majority of the world at the time, and America was exceptional with wanting to get rid of it. That the perspective is really the thing, and it gets back to what I think is the real cause. We're spoiled. We have it so good here. Our biggest problems as a society, I mean, think about one of the biggest issues that we have in America is obesity. One of the biggest issues we have in this country is we have too much food. That's a great problem. When you actually have perspective on history and the rest of the world, that's actually a pretty good problem to have. I'm not saying it's not a problem and we don't need to address it, but what I'm saying is that's an interesting issue. We're too fat and happy. We have too much food. So I think we just forget that sometimes. We don't have real perspective. We're spoiled. And because we're spoiled, we have the chance to go online and complain about everything, not understanding just how good we have it. But I'm curious your take on this. What you think? Would you display the American flag? Are you reluctant to do it? And will this change in the future? I do think we're very divided, but I do think eventually we'll get past the peak and we'll get back to a more patriotic people. I actually think that is coming. Funny enough, it's going to be from a lot of immigrants too. We're seeing it with Hispanic immigrants. That the second, third generation of Hispanic immigrants, they're actually very proud to be American because they know the history of where their grandparents came from. If you want to weigh in, you can. We have the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. By the way, if you're looking for a great deal over the holiday weekend, go to Jay's Appliance Outlet. They're located in Athens off 72. You can't miss them. The sign's out there. It says up to 60% off new appliances. It really is a great place to go if you need a new refrigerator. You might have that barbecue coming up this weekend. Well, you got to keep the ground beef, the hot dogs cold for a couple of days before you cook it. If your fridge is not working, it's kind of hard to do. If you need a new fridge, go to Jay's Appliance Outlet. They have the top brands, but for better prices than you're going to see at maybe one of these big box stores. They can deliver to the area. They service what they sell, and the customer service can't be matched. I mean, they're family owned and operated. They depend on their customers to be happy. In fact, I've had customers tell me just how great the experience is. They thank me for telling them about Jay's Appliance Outlet. So go today, go to the website jaysapplianceoutlet.com or dial pound 250, say the keywords Jay's Appliance Outlet. Get that new fridge. When you do, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. All right, we'll be back in a moment here on the Yaffee program.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.